My name is Ed Nardi, Chair of the Natural Resources Commission, and I'm calling this public meeting to order at 7 p.m. Tonight's NRC meeting will be a hybrid in-person and Zoom meeting. We have a microphone set up on the commission table, and plans will be projected through the TV monitor. If you are presenting via Zoom, please turn on your audio and microphone when it is time for you to speak. Following the presentation by the petitioner and questions from the commission, members of the public will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide by yourself with name and address for the record. You can also raise your hand from your phone by dialing *9 and use *6 to unmute. All video screens will be turned off with the exception of the commissioners, Delia, and the current petitioner. Once the commission has acted on an application, the petitioner is free to leave the meeting. This meeting is being recorded. In the event of any technical difficulties, all matters on the agenda that have not been heard will be automatically continued to the April 26th NRC meeting. At this time, I would ask the commissioners to introduce themselves. Bill?
Bill Kermeza.
Gary?
Gary Kleiman.
Nick?
Nick Pappas.
All right, thank you, guys. So we'll move on to the first order of business, which is approval of two sets of meeting minutes, one from January 11th and one from February 1st, 2023. I can say I had one very minor comment on the January 11th meeting minutes, non-material in nature.
And I had a couple of typos, 2 or 3 that I sent to Karen.
Right? Bill, Gary, all set?
I had no comments on either set of minutes. They looked good.
All right. Gary, how about a motion?
So I move that we accept the meeting minutes of January 11 and February 1 with the minor modifications that Nick had mentioned.
And I second it.
Thank you, Bill. And we'll take the vote. Bill?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. All right, commissioner comments. Any comments? Gary?
Commissioner question.
Sure.
Wondering about our position on brush piles, because I noticed in the thumbnails, there's a couple of references to brush piles that should be removed from some town-owned land, and brush piles also can be helpful for habitat in certain circumstances. So I'm just wondering, do we have policies where we encourage brush piles to be created, or other circumstances where we want brush piles to be removed, or what? I mean, is it basically just we don't want people doing things on town land unless the town?
Well, definitely not on town land.
Yeah.
Within wetlands or 25-foot no disturb zone, no. Within the 50-foot no build zone, so 25-foot no disturb zone and wetlands out, but within the 50-foot no build zone, you could do brush piles. But really the question is, does that then become a compost pile? And does that become a debris, so that it smothers everything? If it were just, woody debris that allowed, air
Constructed in the way that you have the larger logs on the bottom that provide more of a.
right, that would break down and provide habitat for wildlife at the same time. The concern is just really, not having
Yard
something
waste.
that's yard waste that's going to smother and then just be a haven for invasives.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. That helps with what we're gonna do. That's it.
Thank you, Gary. All right. With that, we'll move to the director's update.
So I'm sure that many of you are aware that Marcia Rasmussen, who is the Department of Planning and Land Management Director, she is retiring on May 31st after more than 35 years of service to the town. And there will be information coming out about her sort of celebration of work. The town just hired a new deputy town manager. She started on Monday. Her name is Megan Zamuto. And she will be the interim Department of Planning and Land Management head beginning on June 1st. And that will be for at least 6 months. And then there's bound to be some changes. We don't know what those will be. But that's just a sort of, more of an internal sort of thing, but just so the commission is aware.
So is there not a search underway for a new director, or are you waiting?
There's not currently a search. The job has not been posted. And I think there's just a question about how that position is going to sort of be filled or not be filled.
Yeah.
And
Maybe some restructuring.
Yeah.
so
Wait
right,
until June,
exactly.
and then
We'll sort of see. And I think
that'll be Megan's first job is to
It's
figure out.
yeah, so we just met with her today. her third day.
Mhm.
And so she'll be sitting upstairs, kind of floating. She's got a lot on her plate. You know, and including this department, so.
Does she have a planning background at all, or is
So
it?
she does.
good.
She has actually a really strong planning, building economic vitality and conservation background. So
Mm.
she was in Maynard, and then prior to that, she was in Lexington.
Oh, really?
And the review team, Carrie was really looking for somebody that had, as Carrie put it, she said, you know, she's got strengths in finance and, you know, a lot of the other aspects of town government, but she doesn't have the planning and land management
Hmm.
expertise. And so she was really looking for somebody to help her in that area that she's not as familiar
Oh,
with.
that's great.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
fit.
Yeah, she seems terrific.
Great.
Everybody says she's, you
Fantastic.
know, just really wonderful. So we're excited to have her on board, and we'll see where
And she knows the area, Maynard, Lexington.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So some of you, anybody who walks Barrett Snow Farm, you will have seen that there are some corrugated metal boards out there. Those are cover boards for amphibian reptile surveys.
Oh,
So the National Park Service has teamed with UMass Boston and the town, obviously, because it's on town land, to the Park Service is looking to update their amphibian and reptile surveys
Hmm.
throughout the park. And the park boundary, because of the Barrett House, extends extensively over mostly town land. And so they have these cover boards out. They'll be out until probably the end of August, maybe not quite that long, but they're going to be doing surveys. So, you know, we have a note up at the kiosk asking people not to disturb them, but people are going out, researchers are going out and looking to see what's underneath just to get a sense of presence.
interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
And they just do it periodically throughout the season?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now it's, it's vernal pool season, and so they are going out, you know, we have issued them a permit to go out after hours to do vernal pool surveys, and so they've, you know, found some fairy shrimp and spotted salamanders, nothing unusual, but they are, and that's in the pools, not under the cover boards, but
Sure.
yeah, so I'll keep you posted on that. I saw Sarah at the talk that the Land Trust and the division hosted with Dr. Jagir, who's a professor at UMass Dartmouth. He is big on pollinator systems, and so he gave a talk at the library, which was really well attended. There was I don't know, at least 40 people in the audience, and his talk is recorded and it's on Minuteman.
Huh.
And it was really good because he spoke not, you know, we think about pollinators as being plants or as being the bees or the wasps or the flies or whatever, but he looked at it more as the system, and that you have to have plants that provide the food, the nectar, you know, the pollen, and the cover. So that it's not just one thing that is being provided by these pollinator plants or for a pollinator species, but you need the whole system, which of course makes
Interesting,
a
yeah.
lot of ecological sense. So it was good. It was an interesting talk, and that's on, I think it's posted now to at the Minuteman YouTube site. Speaking of pollinators, I've mentioned before that we got a grant from the Garden Club for $500 towards pollinator plantings. So the plants arrived today.
Great.
There are 6 different species. We're going to create pollinator kits. So one kit will be 3 species of wet adapted plants, and one for dry adapted plants, both for sunny locations. And I'm looking for volunteers. The commission had been interested in volunteering,
sure.
so that date I did not write down, but is that next Wednesday? I think that's April 12th.
So
And so if you're available to do that, let me know. I don't need a lot of people. We do have some volunteers that are interested in helping.
Well, sure.
That is at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Yes,
That's on a Wednesday?
on a Wednesday.
I could probably do that.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, too.
Okay,
Yep.
good. So I'm writing all three of you down. Fabulous. That's great. So we're gonna take them and put them into 3-gallon pots and pot these up and then give them away at an Earth Day events.
Great.
So
Mhm.
that'll,
Great.
that'll be fun. Assabet River Bluff, we are going to be doing an invasives poll with the Land Trust and Sudbury Valley trustees. And a lot of volunteers. I think it's going to be a really big effort, which is exciting. That is scheduled for May 10th, noon, starting with pizza and invasives overview.
That's the way to get it.
Exactly, and then we will go and pull invasives. So we have not yet broadcast that. We just landed on that date yesterday. So
And the 10th is a what day?
Wednesday.
10th is a Wednesday.
Oh, great.
Wednesdays are good.
Yeah, Wednesdays are good.
Yeah, they are.
Excellent. good.
Okay.
Okay, so you'll see something come out by the end of the week on that. And yeah, we're pretty excited about that. And then also Bird is working on the design charrettes, and that will be occurring sometime in June. The last thing is the Warner's Pond alternatives analysis. I think I reported out at the last meeting that we were having that completed, and it is nearly complete. We've seen a first draft. And I would anticipate that that will be distributed within the next 10 days. And the consultant has done a really nice job. He's just taking all that information and reviewing both the dam removal alternative as well as the dredging and filling in place in Warner's Pond.
Mhm.
So the survey results that were received by March 15th will be incorporated into that. 251 responses. And very interestingly, most people were in favor of dam removal.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we will
Yep.
continue to evaluate and study that. And then we anticipate the second community meeting will be held in May after town meeting. I don't think anybody wants any more meetings before
Right.
town meeting. So that date, we're meeting with a consultant tomorrow. We'll lock down that date. But sometime, mid to late May, we're
Mhm.
anticipating.
Dam removal is the cheapest option, right?
It is not that, well, yes, it is, because there's a lot of grant funding that is available for dam removal because it's so ecologically beneficial, whereas there's no grant money, federal, state, for dredging. So the costs are somewhat equivalent, but the cost to the town is far less under the dam removal alternative.
And are those federal and state grants as well?
Yep.
Okay.
So there's a whole host of them, and I'm not going to remember them all, but the Division of Ecological Restoration, all they do really is river restoration, and that is, that's dam removal. There's NOAA grants. Bert, help me out here. Do you recall?
I think there's Army Corps grants, potential U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service grants.
And do you know if the dam that's being removed, the last one downstream,
Bill Ricka,
the
Talents
Billerica, they
Mill.
must have gotten some, do you know if they got some grants to assist with that?
I don't, but I can find out.
Yeah, it might just,
Yeah.
be helpful if,
Yep.
Yep. Because I think that's occurring in 23. Is that correct?
It is upcoming.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll find out.
Out of curiosity. It'd be nice if they had, obviously the consultants must know in terms of the general sense of what's out there.
Yes.
That would be great.
Yep.
All set?
Yeah.
Okay, great. That was a lot. Thank you, Delia. All right, so I think we have two continuances, one to be opened and one to be continued this evening. Bill, you want to take that?
Sure. So first, to be open and continue to April 26th. Without discussion, I move that we make that adjustment for 53A Nurse Neck Hill Road, DEP file 1371633.
Second.
All right, we'll take the vote. Bill,
Aye.
Gary,
I
Nick,
Aye.
And I'm an I as well.
Right. And then second, I move that we continue to April 26th without discussion. The notice of intent for 794 Elm Street, DEP file 1371630.
Second.
And the vote, Bill,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and I'm an I as well. All right, so we will hear our first continuance this evening, which is a notice of intent, 300 Ministerial Drive, DEP file 137-1628. And
Hi, I'm here for that.
good evening, Nathaniel.
Hello. All right, so hi, my name is Nathaniel. I'm from State C. McNary, here about 300 Ministerial Drive. I see online Greg Legald and Dave Fisher among, I'm assuming the owners are here, but pretty much I'll go through the plan revisions briefly. So first off, I know the engineering department reviewed the floodplain calcs, so nothing's changed with those. And then we added stockpiling, and in addition to what the engineering department said, we specified that it shouldn't go in the floodplain to avoid any temporary filling. And then to the rear of the house, we're also removing the additional Norway maple that we weren't before. And there's updated landscaping plans that got sent in. If needed, I'm sure Dave Fisher can say more about those. But that is pretty much the extent of the changes. So if there's any questions on anything, we can take them.
Okay, thank you, Nathaniel. And I think, Delia, there was still the question about the stream determination, i.e. what the watershed size is, et cetera.
Right, so the stream is not identified on USGS at all. So the presumption is that the stream is intermittent. We have never seen that stream run dry. So the burden is on the issuing authority to determine whether or not that's perennial or not. And we are still trying to, the determination that we're making with GIS right now is that it's right around a half a square mile, which is the trigger for it to be perennial versus intermittent. There's a question about some culverts and which way they're flowing and conveying, whether that changes the watershed boundary. So I talked with Nathaniel earlier today, and there are two options that the commission can take. We can wait until we can really iron that out with a little bit more field work to determine that, or the commission can continue the meeting to the next one, close an issue with a finding that the riverfront bound, or the determination on whether there is riverfront or not is not made under this filing. What we would need in order to be comfortable with that is calculations from the engineer to confirm that if there were, we would need calculations to confirm that there's no thresholds for riverfront standards that would be triggered.
Yeah.
So that would be confirming that there's less than 5,000 square feet or 10% of the site that would be altered under existing and proposed conditions. So I just spoke to Nathaniel about that today. Obviously he hasn't had time to prepare those calculations. So the recommendation that I would give you is to wait until the next meeting. And if the commission wants to, we can continue to evaluate that. It's, as I said, it's right on the cusp of half a square mile or not.
Yeah.
I think that's my question, which is what are the practical implications as to
Exactly.
whether it's, just wetlands or riverfront as well? Like, is it
Or change the
really?
plan.
Right, so if it's under a half square mile, there is no riverfront associated with it. If it is at a half square mile or greater, then the implications are that anybody who is along that stream
Mhm.
is subject to riverfront standards, performance standards. So properties would have to demonstrate, as they do with other riverfront properties, that they maintain their alteration under 5,000 square feet or 10% of the riverfront area that exists on the lot.
And that's what we haven't calculated, is the extent of the alteration
Right.
for this project.
Right. which eyeballing it
at
is
first
going to
blush.
be, is going to meet the riverfront performance
Right.
standards.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, you thought there wouldn't be any significant impact one way or another.
No.
So if that, we could wait and tour it all up. And come to that same finding, and then we would just have to close an issue the following meeting,
Mhm.
correct?
At the 26th.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
could do both.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, so what, do you have any particular leaning? I mean, do you want to close that
I think
issue
it would be nice to
specifically?
close the loop on it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think it has any really net effect at the end of the day in terms of the timing on the issuance of the order of conditions.
As long as we can, no, I don't think it does.
Yeah, okay.
And everything else is set, right? They provided everything else we asked for.
Yeah.
Comp storage has been reviewed by
Signed off.
engineering.
Yeah.
And the revisions to the landscape plan look good.
So it's really just a question of whether the applicant's plans get screwed up by waiting until the 26th, or they have to wait anyway.
They have to wait
They
They won't
anyway.
have an order.
They won't have an order until then anyway, so
So there's really no.
it seems like no net effect in
Right.
terms of timing or application for the applicant, if you will. Yeah.
Right.
Nathaniel, have any, or anybody on your team have any comments or questions?
I mean, I myself don't, I'm not sure if anybody else does, but given that it's really the same timeline, either way, it, can't see it making much of a difference.
Okay,
Good.
not hearing any comments. Are there any public comment regarding this application? All right, not seeing any. So I guess we will plan on continuing to the 26th. And we'll also prepare our order of conditions along that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Nathaniel.
Yep,
Thank you.
thanks
Thank
everyone.
you all.
thank you.
All right,
Is he doing the next one?
let's see. I believe the next one is a new application this evening for an RDA for 49 Liberty Street, file number 23-2. And Stampsky's on board. Is that Nathaniel again, or is that someone else from Stampsky?
That's gonna be me. My name is Robert Melvin. I also work at Stampsky and McNary.
Good evening, Robert. How are you?
I'm the owner.
Good.
Hey, Bill, how are you? Come on up. Grab a seat.
Maybe I give a 2-minute background.
Sure can.
I'll give a preface. You were talking about dam review. So Lauren and I are restoring 49 Liberty Street. Jake High's great-great-grandfather was Simon Brown. And Simon Brown chaired the state commission under which Concord sued Bill Ricca. Oh, yeah. And hired a surveyor named Thoreau. And his journal's filled with this 30-year
Wow.
interesting story of the fact gathering and back and forth lawsuits and so Simon Brown was in the thick of that thing.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
in favor of moving it. I think there are two major pieces in this application, which Robert and Lely, our landscape architect, will describe, but it's number one, there's an intermittent stream that traverses the northwest corner of the lot. It drains a intermittent pond on Jay's current property. And the 100-foot buffer cuts through a stone terrace that we're proposing on the back of the house. And second, we would like to replace a bunch of invasive species with native species in that northwest corner, including adding an apple orchard to replace the one that Simon Brown put in 1848, which is inside the 100-foot buffer on the northwest corner.
Yeah.
So that's what we're working on doing. So maybe Robert, turn it over to you.
Sure. I will just share my screen here and show you guys the plan. Okay, so this is 49 Liberty Street.
I know. There's-
A little bit, Robert, thank you.
That's better.
Okay, so to believe this is the south, we have bordering vegetative wetlands. It's across the street here. And it projects a 100-foot buffer zone onto a small portion of the southern end of the property here. We also have bank and land under waterway up in the northwest corner here. And that also projects a 100-foot buffer zone onto the property. Now, some notable existing conditions, we have the existing house here, which has undergone some revisions, which include the foundation has been, sort of replaced where it needed replacement. I believe there was the foundation was cracked and in disrepair. So along, it's kind of tough to see, but if you follow this darker black line here, which goes around the existing garage, out back here and back into the existing building here, that is what has been replaced. Also
Essentially the
existing,
same footprint as what.
Yeah, looked like it.
right. So the existing driveway is actually all gravel right now, and it is proposed to remain so. We have a bit T turnaround here.
Yeah.
Proposed gravel expansion here. And all of this work that I've just stated is outside of the resource areas. Just wanted to give a bit of background here. Now, some of the work that is occurring within resource areas are there are a couple of existing granite posts here that we're proposing to reset, as well as some existing stone steps here at the front. And I actually have some pictures I can share of those real quick. So here's the granite post right here, the driveway. And right here are the stone steps up front. And we have a siltation barrier, just a down gradient of that proposed work to protect the wetlands across the street. Now to the northwest here, as Bill stated, they're proposing to plant a historical orchid in this area where there has been one existing already. Off to the north side here, here's an area where currently there are a lot of invasives existing. I have actually listed some out, but this is the general area here. We have 12 honeysuckle, 6 forsythia, and 6 yew trees, all within this area that we're proposing to remove. Any that can be removed by hand shall be done so, in preference to other methods. If any larger invasives are present, we are proposing that they be cut down to the stump, which shall remain, and cut flush down to the down flush with the ground surface, and dabbed with herbicide. Where they are also proposing to plant some native shrubs here. That we have 8 high bush blueberries, 8 winterberries, and 8 clethra. And then we do have an existing dead tree here to be removed. It's a hemlock tree. The existing lawn is to be maintained, and actually a large portions of the site are proposed to be left as meadow, and that is demarcated by this line with the arrows. As you can see on this side, within this area that I'm circling, that is proposed to be lawn, while all of this area here is proposed to be meadow, as well as at the front. And I believe all that's left is a small portion of a stone terrace is proposed within the 100-foot buffer zone. And I believe that covers everything on the plan here. I'm just going to show you guys the landscaping plan as
Before
well.
you do that, Robert, maybe just point out, because I think in a prior submission, we had talked about the geothermal wells being behind the house in the buffer zone. We have moved those out of the buffer zone.
Oh, yes.
In the buffer
That's right.
zone, They're in the driveway.
They're in the driveway, yeah.
Right, yeah, so previously we had proposed that the some of the wells within the zone here, but those have all just been moved within the driveway extension on the side here.
Will those have raised, I mean.
Nope,
or
they're
wells?
5 feet underground.
Underground.
Yeah. You can pay, we're not paving, but you can pave over them. It's
How deep are they
It's-
going? Any idea?
500 feet.
So 400 or 500?
Yeah.
So it's a closed loop system.
Can't wait to see it do it.
Yeah.
I have a 730-foot well for an open loop system, but it has a well cap, so that's why I was wondering, it would be in the middle of the driveway.
Seeing more and more of those recently, right?
Right.
Yeah. Thank you
I'm
for
sorry I
that.
interrupted you, Robert. You were-
No,
Oh, no problem. I'll just show you guys the landscaping plan now. Sort of says the same thing as I highlighted. I'll just quickly show you guys the work with the stone steps, the granite posts over here. I actually forgot to mention, there will be a grass path maintained from the stone steps to the front of the dwelling. As you can see, the stone terrace here, an existing gazebo here to remain. This is the location of the proposed orchard. Oh, and
Are there trees down in the apple orchard?
There are no apple trees. There are a few, I think it was Parasippy or something
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
okay.
But interestingly, we have Simon's plot of the apple orchard in the journals in the museum.
So you put heirloom apples in?
We're putting he has 12 species or 12 varieties and the map of where they.
That'd be
Now,
interesting.
it turns out the property line is actually Beavis's property now.
Oh, yeah.
Where so this is
Yeah, yeah,
50 feet further east than he
Yeah.
had it, but we're trying to get those varieties.
that's
in
great.
there.
That's good.
I would just, one add is that in where we're replacing the invasive species, we're also going to be planting meadow mix along with the,
can I just have your name and
oh,
Could be,
Lily Morse, I'm a landscape architect.
thank you, Lily.
And we will be planting meadow at the back of the property as well along, as sort of an under a ground cover. And then the invasive species will be planted in that, or not the invasive, excuse me. The native species will be planted in that.
So where the invasives are removed, there'll be two types of ground cover, the meadow mix
Right.
and then shrubs, highberry
High bush blueberry,
and
flat rock,
winterberry.
and winterberry.
Yeah.
And is that, it looks like that work may be occurring close to the 25 or in the 25, just for invasives and or plantings. Do you need a 25-foot waiver, or is that not necessary? I don't,
That's a good point. We didn't request that, but
Yeah.
yeah, we should have that.
okay,
So we're from the 25.
okay. So that could be a follow-up issue if we wanted to.
So this is an RDA, so
Yeah.
I would just suggest that,
Another condition on the.
yeah, or issuance pending receipt of the waiver request by Friday.
Which is fine. Yeah,
Sure. Yeah, I also have the 25-foot buffer zone shown here.
yeah, and that's
For
what I just
reference.
noted. It seemed like
Yeah.
Right.
you were in the 25, at least doing something, that's all.
Right.
All good stuff, but
Right.
nonetheless, okay.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you, Robert and Bill. Looks like a great project. It's obviously very little impact, I think, generally in regard to our
It's an improvement.
jurisdiction. Yeah, it looks like a great improvement, so. And thank you for the invasive removals. That's, we're seeing more and more. That's great stuff.
We're gonna get the garlic mustard out.
Yeah, it's endless,
Good luck with that.
endless. At least they come out easy, right? Nothing else. All right, commissioners, any other comments?
None for me.
No,
No.
looks
Nick, you
great.
good? Okay, excuse me. Any public comment regarding this application? All right, not seeing any. I think we have a recommendation. Gary?
Yeah. I move that we close an issue pending receipt of a 25-foot waiver
By Friday.
by Friday. A negative determination number 3 with the following conditions. 1, pre-construction meeting will be held with the contractor and DNR staff to review limits of work and confirm invasive species to be removed. 2, once removed, invasive plant material shall be disposed of at an appropriate offsite location. Condition 3, yard waste piles should be removed from the no disturb zone. 4, after the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC with pre and post invasive removal area photographs stating that all work has been conducted in accordance with all conditions of this determination of applicability. Any changes from the RDA should be described. And I probably should have said that that is a motion on RDA 23-2 at 49 Liberty Street.
I second that.
Thank you, Bill. And the vote, Bill,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Good luck with the project. Thank you, Robert.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate your time.
Night, Robert.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. All right, so I think the next one up, under new applications this evening is again, another RDA for Freeman, 457 Westford Road. File number 23-3. And who?
Hi, back to me.
Good evening, Nathaniel.
All right. I will put the plan up on the screen for this one. All right, so just say my name again. Hi, I'm Nathaniel. I'm with Stancy McNary, and this is for 457 Westford Road. This is in RDA. So I'm in here. So it's an existing single-family house. Looking at the plan, the wetlands are on the right, and they project 100-foot buffer zone, which the 100-foot line is this dotted line, and we're also showing 15, 25. So basically, the work is to replace the septic system. So this box here that my cursor is over is the existing tank, and this is the existing leach field. Very, very close to the wetland. Not good, but so it's in failure, and basically a plumber took a look at it. They were able to reroute the plumbing and raise it so it comes out the front of the house. So the whole septic system is located in the front. Really, the only work happening within the buffer zone is this sewer line just barely intercepts the 100-foot as it goes into the house. Also, just some tiny grade changes just for regrading, just to provide cover and pitch over the system. And then finally, any work associated with abandoning the existing system. The scope of work of that is really just them having to get into the tank and pump it out and break it and either backfill it or just haul it off site. And that's the only work. And we're showing a silt fence outside the 25, just so when vehicles go over, and if they do any digging here, any runoff, we'll hit the silt fence first. And that's really it. It's a very small amount of work. We filed an RDA for that reason, because the work is so small. This is also consistent with other projects that we filed in the past, where it's a septic repair and the work in the buffer zone is very, very minimal and temporary. So with that, I really don't have anything more to say. So if there's any questions or comments, I can take them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nathaniel. Commissioners, any comments on this?
No.
Looks good to get it out of the buffer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, I think there's one minor comment here about a pile of yard waste located in the no disturb zone, and that should be removed.
Okay.
Do you know the location of that, Delia, by chance, or is it?
It's noted.
In the no disturb zone.
Oh, in the no disruption. So
It's probably in the area of, I think,
They show a photo of it.
wetland flag 8, maybe right above where it says C note 17. And
okay.
it's in that area.
In that
over there.
area? Okay,
When I went out for a site check and I met with the homeowner out there and mentioned that to him, he said, no problem,
Great.
take it up by hand.
just want to get on the record. Yeah. Thank you, Bert. All right, is there any public comment regarding this application? Okay, Nick, do you want to take this recommendation? You good for that?
Oops. I had it and I've lost it. Wait a minute.
All
Gotta
right.
go find it. It'll take a minute.
Okay.
Where is it? Here we go. I think. No.
We're on the bottom of page 4 on the notes, I think.
Oh, it's just, oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's right on the thumbnail. Yep.
It's right in the thumbnail. Just a minute. Here we go. Okay, I move that we issue a negative determination number 2 with the following conditions. 1, a pre-construction meeting will be held on site with the contractor and DNR staff. 2, erosion controls shall be installed prior to the use of any machinery on site. 3, the yard waste pile located in the no disturb zone shall be removed by hand. And I guess it would be 4. After the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC stating that all work has been conducted in accordance with all conditions of this determination of applicability. Any changes from the RDA shall be described.
Second.
Thank you, Gary. And the vote. Bill?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And I am I as well.
All right, thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so under other business this evening, we have the Brister Freeman marker. So, come on up.
Hello. Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. My
Good.
name is Grady Flynn. I'm a sophomore at CCHS and I'm a scout with Troop 132. Right now I'm working on developing my Eagle project and I'm fortunate enough to be doing that in support of the Robbins House, which I think is one of the many great museums we have here in Concord. And I think the history that it works for, and even in the present day, is super important and just as important as any other museum we have here. So my goal of my project is to raise the profile of this museum a little bit, raise its visibility, especially around younger people. When I talk to a lot of people my age, people, even those who work to appreciate Concord's history, whether it's of Concord authors, the Revolution, whatever it is, I often find that Concord's African American and Concord's anti-slavery history is underappreciated. It doesn't get enough airtime. People don't talk about it as much, and I really hope that the work I do could change that with my Eco project, and at least work towards changing it. So that's sort of my goal there. And in addition to raising the profile of the Robbins House itself, I'd also like to raise some of the visibility of some of the other sites that it is associated with in Concord. One of those sites is the site of the lands that Brister Freeman and his family owned formerly. And I'm not sure if you're familiar, an acre of Walden Woods, or also known as Fairyland, used to belong to him. And there's a marker there today that was put in place by the Robbins House that marks what we believe to be the home site, the site of where he and his family lived. But I'd also like to put in place a form of signage. I've been calling it a plaque that will it'll be an enhanced form of signage that will mark the entire site of his land. So the plaque itself, I don't know if you have my application materials that I submitted. I had a map and just an idea.
Yeah.
We have the mapping.
Okay, wonderful.
Mhm.
I don't know if you have the draft of the plaque that I drew. If you don't,
I don't think I have that.
okay, I have it on my phone. I can pass it around. I can also read to you what's on it if you want.
Can you email it to me and I can put it up?
I can do that. Do you want me to do that now?
Yeah, that'd be
Okay,
good.
I will do that really quickly.
I brought the printout.
Oh, thank you so much. This is very kind of you. And I can pass this around as well.
Yeah.
And is it okay if I copy you for use protection purposes?
Absolutely.
We have protocols in the scouts that don't allow us to have direct communication. So I'm hoping that this plaque can sit at the entrance to the Red Trail. in the southeast area.
Mhm.
And the idea here is we have the title at the top, very prominent, a sort of brief but impactful anecdote in the middle. But really the main purpose here is I mentioned I was trying to get younger people my age involved with this history. People, I want them to learn more about it. And I think that one of the ways I'll be able to do that is actually through this online database that I'm going to be creating. And the database is going to include a number of audio excerpts. Those will include the story of Brister Freeman's life, his path to freedom. He was a formerly enslaved person himself. And also his relationship to Thoreau and the Black Enclave in Walden Woods at the just after the end of slavery here. So that's what the purpose of this QR code here is. You can see at the bottom it says learn more here. That's not a real QR code right now because I haven't created the database, but that's sort of the idea, is that younger people, you might be right across the street at Concord Carlisle High School where I go. It's right across the street from Fairyland. I know a lot of people that spend a lot of time there. The hope is that they'll be able to it'll be more accessible to them, this information. They can go and just easily pop in earbuds and listen to this history and learn something in a matter of 5 to 10 minutes on, during their lunch one day or something. The last thing that's included in this signage is Robbins House and National Park Service African American Civil Rights Network insignia. And that is just to, again, connect it back to the Robbins House, who is my beneficiary for this project. In terms of material and this final design, this design is not final. This is something I drew up just to give a sense of what I want it to look like, what I wanted to include. And I don't have an idea of material to share with you or how it's going to go in the ground. And actually, I wanted to come to ask your advice on that, because I know that I have access to somebody who can help me put together something for this. But what he asked me was just see what my requirements are going to be for material, color, size, etc. And he'll be able to guide me from there. So I know what this can kind of look like in person.
And so this location that you're proposing, is that right off of Route 2 when you start to head into Concord?
It's just off 126. It's, I mean, it's not far. It's
not
a
far.
couple 100 feet up.
It's
It's up from the parking
as you're
area.
taking the
Yeah.
left into the high school, it's right there on the right, correct?
No,
No,
It's up a little higher. It's
It's
the
up closer
trail.
to Route 2.
Yeah,
It's only where there's a couple of parking spots, is there?
yeah, it's at the Harry Beyer Trail. If you walk off of Harry Beyer and you walk to the left, it's just a few hundred feet from that.
Yeah, it's
to
up.
your left.
It's even up beyond that little parking area,
And
right?
again-
So it's-
Yeah.
And I was just curious about that location as against where, there's, I don't know, 15-car parking, and it seems like that's always a fairly busy hub and, people there, just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
So this is close to the home site. This. where your
I
proposal
see.
is close to the
Okay.
Christopher Freeman
Right.
home site.
Okay,
So, and the information listed here, just sort of almost beckons you to follow the trail as you listen.
nice.
That's sort of the idea. It does also lead you towards that marker. So that marker doesn't become redundant at all. That's still a very important part of what goes on there. Yeah.
Do you know whether, maybe you might know, Grady, is the sign back in place where Brister Springs is located? Do you know where that is?
Oh, I'm not sure if that's back in.
I don't think it is. His house was situated just above the spring that comes out of the side of the hill. And there used to be, in fact, there's still a marker that's probably laying on its side back there that indicates Brister's Spring. It's really the source of Fairyland Pool, a pond. Because it's one of the more interesting spots that sits back there.
Yeah.
And I think Thoreau even makes mention of it going back to that spring. So it'd be interesting if you look at that too, and see if the marker
It's
is there.
right, so it's a great time of year to see it now, because if you start at the Brister Freeman site You walk down the hill
Yep. See,
and right at the base of that hill, you'll see all this skunk cabbage all of a sudden, just at the base of that slope. And there's a little spring there.
little
And it's
spring,
just
right around here.
basically a seat coming out of the hillside. And I think Bauka was gonna put that
He,
back
he
in.
talked about it, but I wasn't sure we got to
I'm
it.
not
or
sure
not.
if he has.
Hmm.
or not. He hasn't
So, but
confirmed.
it's an interesting thing. You might want to look at that
Yeah.
before you finish your sign. So maybe
Okay,
a reference
that's
to
good
that.
know. You know, I think I've heard of this because my math teacher, interestingly enough, took my class to go see it. And she was like, yeah, I've done this every year, but there used to be a
where's the
marker
sign?
here. Must have been what she was referring to.
Are you in the rivers program? Is that what you did?
I'm not, no. I was just in a normal geometry class.
Oh, that's
and She
interesting.
decided to take a walk one day.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think she would be in agreement with me that it's important history to learn, and she wanted to impart that onto us.
Yeah.
Because I know that a lot of my classmates had never even heard of Brister Freeman, even though there's a
Oh.
street named after him and
Oh,
hill named
sure.
after him.
The hill itself. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good.
I want to make it clear that I know that this land is really important to the commission,
Mhm.
the stewardship of Walden Woods. So I don't ask this lightly. I understand the importance, but I hope that, fostering this history along with, all the other important things that go on in Fairyland, there's so much, importance in ecology, so much importance in, as related to, Thoreau. I hope that this will begin to be a little more included in that as well.
Any suggestions, Delia, in terms of signage, materials? I mean, I assume you want to put the signage up and it wants to last
Right.
a long time,
Yeah.
right? In terms, that's the idea, right? It's a more permanent installation, or is it?
Right off the top, I mean, we do a lot of wooden signs. I'm not sure if that's something that is going to be as long lasting as you're looking for.
And the
Yeah.
QR code and
Um,
all that, right? That's something.
Yeah, I
One
mean,
idea I did have was that if I do something along the lines of wood, it could be like a little plastic slip along that I could put a piece of paper, yeah, like insert a little QR code into it. So all the writing could be carved out of wood,
right.
but that could also exist.
Mhm.
yeah.
So are you familiar with October Farm Riverfront, the conservation land up at the top of Balls, it's off Balls Hill Road, at the end of Balls Hill Road.
Mhm.
So we have a sign there at the at the parking area. And there are two symbols on it. And I don't recall what they're made out of. They might be plastic, or they might be metal, but you might want to take a look at that because they're small. They're maybe 1.5 inch square, and it has different symbology for, I forget what it is now. It's, I think it's the land trust and the land grant program where we received some funding. But those are just embedded into the wood. And might be a good, sort of medium for the QR code.
And the just the QR code itself,
Yeah,
I see, because
Yeah.
that would be printed and something that.
yeah, I mean, if you want, I think if it's paper and it goes into something laminated or something plastic, it's gonna last a year.
Yeah, just a matter of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so this might be something that would last a long time. I mean, presumably the QR code is gonna be something that's in place for,
As long as possible, yeah.
Right.
The Robin's Test website is, robinstest.org is something that it's just a huge database of information. I hope that, connecting this part of it, my hope is to work with the programming director at, the Robin's House to, connect this to a walking tour that already exists,
Mhm.
On their website.
Mhm.
And that's got, I think, 42 sites throughout Concord, that are related to, its expansive African-American history.
Right.
And I want to sort of allow this QR code to draw you right to those audio excerpts, but also, allow you to see, oh, hey, there's so much information here that I can go and I can continue learning and educate myself.
Right.
So wouldn't the best thing for him to meet with you and work out the sign design at
Yeah.
some point?
Okay.
Because eventually come back, right? As the
Yeah.
final sign, the design, the locate, how you
Right,
mount it,
right.
the location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're
Yep.
generally in favor. Yeah, we would.
Yep. And I think as far as size, I mean, it would be typically the smallest that accomplishes what you're looking to
Right, yeah.
accomplish, but we can definitely meet and talk about that.
Okay, that's excellent. In terms of a time period of when this would get in the ground, am I clear to do that anytime, or do I need to get permission to do it between now and now, or?
So I think we should determine what the sign is gonna look like, what the
Yeah.
materials are, and then come back to the commission
Okay.
for a
Yeah.
final blessing.
Yeah.
Right?
We just like to look at the exact,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
gonna go in the ground, if
That
you
makes
will.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Excellent.
And as far as what gets installed, I mean, typically, it's gonna be like a 4x4 post that's, dug in, 2 feet.
Yeah. Get some gravel.
And then, exactly, and then it's, you could do like a, sort of
If there's an
mounted
angle,
45-degree
exactly.
angle kind of thing.
An angled cut, and then I could imagine actually like an epoxy top or something like
Right.
that, has some kind of. That would be more permanent, I would think, if you
Right.
just
Yeah.
have the entire, 45-degree angled face
Right.
epoxied over. You can
Yeah.
put whatever you want with a QR code,
Yeah,
and it's all just.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I don't know how easy that is to create a post that has an integrated top.
well, I think you could put the post and then, attach
Maybe.
the top on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, Depending on the
That-
back, you
that-
you could back mount it, perhaps, or back
Potentially,
screw it,
yeah, yeah.
depending on the thickness
That's
of the
right,
material
right.
and
right,
that type of thing.
Okay, great project.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
I appreciate it. All right, I was wondering if there's a way I can get access to a copy of this recording.
yes, it'll be on Minuteman, probably in 2 or 3 days.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, Grady.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Thank
good
you.
project.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Good luck with your eagle.
Yeah,
I was,
when
I
you
was an
expect-
Eagle Scout from 1983.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I know it's a
Wow.
challenge to
That's
do all of
awesome.
that, so you should be proud of all the work you put into it.
I'm hoping to be done by the end of this summer.
In this summer, good for you.
All right, thank you guys
Thank
very
you.
much.
Great, thank you very much.
Excellent. All right, so
Great, me too.
look forward to seeing you
Yeah, I
back.
was, yeah. Yep.
All right, so with that, I think we're gonna go, there's an
No, 1960s down in Philadelphia.
administrative approval. That's Delia. What do we have there?
We have one tree at,
Thank you, Grady.
let's see, I think it's 311 Main Street. That's the agenda. 300 Main Street. She has a dying elm that is in the 25 and the inner riparian that she would like to remove. She's willing to leave a 12-foot high
Oh,
snag.
great.
Does not want to replant. There's other trees in the vicinity, so coming in with a track mounted on plywood.
Good size elm.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably 18-inch.
Be a good snag.
Yeah.
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 Great.
Yep.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, and I think we're off to close an issue on a couple of items here. Delia, on the first one?
This is 141 Comerford Road.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is amended order of conditions.
Is that yours, Gary?
Yep.
All right,
So I move that we close and issue an amended order of conditions for 141 Comerford Road, DEP file number 1371535 with findings A through D, standard conditions 1 through 19, and special conditions 20 through 58.
we have a second.
Second,
Thank you, Bill. And the vote, Bill,
aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And I am an I as well. All right, and then I think, Bill, you have the next one.
Yes, and let's see, I move that any discussion about this? We're just ready to move forward, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I move that we issue
We did receive a revised plan that shows the snow storage.
I saw that. That's
Okay.
good.
Okay, yeah,
very good.
Yeah.
Okay, that we issue an order of conditions on the project at 59 Walden Street, DEP file 1371618, with findings A, B, and C, and standard conditions 1 through 20 and special conditions 21 through 56.
Second.
Thank you, Gary, and the vote, Bill,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
And I am an I as well. Good luck with your project.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a great
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for all your help.
Thank you.
See you.
All right, so I think the next order of business is an extension request for or on the order of conditions for 141 Comerford Road, DP file 137-1535.
That's what I just closed and issued.
There's
And
an
I-
extension.
But
as
that's
well.
an amendment, I think, and that closes in September of this year, right? So it's
So now they want an
yeah,
extension
the 3-year
for
extension.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any issues? I think we already mentioned that before in a previous meeting as well,
Yeah.
but they were seeking a 3-year extension. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
All right. So with that, could I have a motion? Bill, you want to?
Sure. I move that we issue an extension of the order of conditions for 141 Comerford Road, DEP file 137-1535.
And just to clarify, that's a 3-year extension.
3-year
Okay,
extension.
thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Gary. And the vote, Bill,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
I,
and I am I as well. Good luck with the project. All right, COC.
So it's great. Karen sent out some letters. This is an old, as you can see, it's a 315 file number, so it was for a subdivision. And there were 8 lots that were attached to this order of conditions. And so Karen sent all of them a letter and said, just close this out because there's a lien on your title. And so they're slowly trickling in.
Yeah.
And this is, I think this is third one in consecutive meetings that we've got. So that's why it's a partial, because we're waiting for all finally issued.
Okay,
So I move that we issue a certificate of compliance for 117 Channing Road, DEP file 137315.
Second.
all right, I'll take the vote, Bill,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
I,
and I am an I as well. All right, so under other business, Trails Committee member appointment. Celia, any?
We had two people apply for the one vacant Trails Committee position, and the Trails Committee nominated Bauke Nordisch, who has been an active Trails steward for over a year, to fill Ken Miller's unexpired term. And the second candidate has served on other town committees, is not somebody that has participated to date in Trails Committee work. So we did reach out to her and encourage her to become a trail steward.
Yeah. Great.
But that was the nomination that the Trails Committee put forward, was for Bauke Nordisch.
Yes.
Okay. I think we need a motion on that, correct, Bill?
Yeah, I make a motion that we appoint Bauke Nordsey. I think it's Nordzai.
Nordside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of 101 Farmer Cliffs Road to fill the unexpected term for the Trails Committee ending May 31st, 2024.
Second.
All right, the vote, Bill,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
I,
and I am an I as well. All right, and I think with this last piece, we're going to enter executive session to discuss I forget the address.
So it's 162 Plainfield, but somebody will need to make a motion.
Yes,
to-
yeah.
Okay.
All right, I just wanted,
162
okay,
Plainfield.
Is this by the White Pond?
yes,
Last time I recused myself, you remember that? I
Yes.
suppose
You
just for
did.
consistency, I probably ought to do that again.
that's fine.
Okay.
Gary, you want to make the motion to just
Sure.
enter?
I move that we enter into executive session. Do I have to
So
say?
you want to
for-
move that we are,
And we.
yeah,
and
you're
we will
entering
not- and
executive
we will
session
not
not
be
to
opening-
return to
and
open.
We will not return to the open meeting.
I move that we enter into executive session, not to return to open public meeting.
Nick, do you have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Vote,
Aye.
Gary, Bill, I, Nick,
I.
and I am an I as well. Okay. All right, so Gary, this was-
Celia, is the participant list okay? There's a name Natalie on there I don't recognize.
Right. Oh, we're not really in executive session yet.
Yeah, we're not in executive session. So I wonder if this is Natalie from the bridge.
Oh, hi. Yes,
Hi.
it's Natalie from the bridge. Should
Hi,
I?
Thank you.
should-
Yeah, well, so I'm so glad that you joined the meeting. Thank you very much. She was also at the Conservation Coffee yesterday, so
Oh,
you're very busy. Thank you.
Yes.
But yes, executive session, we do this is not open to the public.
Okay, super. Okay, thanks so much for having me.
Evening, Natalie.
Thank you.
Good night.
I'm so
Have a good
glad
night.
you came.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.